you, Council President. Thank you, colleagues. First and foremost, I want to thank my colleagues for voting in the affirmative and passing the Let No Chokeholds bill. The bill was introduced in the spirit of George Floyd, who lost his life when a police officer put his knee on his neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. I thank Commissioner Danielle Outlaw for already adopting this policy as a part of the Philadelphia Police Department. And I also want to thank my colleague, Councilwoman Jamie Gardier, as well, for giving me some additional support and advice around this legislation to make sure it's fine-tuned and, most importantly, works as it relates to holding those accountable who engages in using the types of chokeholds that result in a loss of life of the individuals in which they are apprehending. I believe that the life of George Floyd was not taken in vain. We have recently saw a major historical settlement as it relates to the loss of the life of Breonna Taylor as a result of some actions by law enforcement officials, but we still want justice for Breonna Taylor. And so I thank all my colleagues for again passing the Let Philly Breathe No Chokehold bill. But also I feel like I'm working in the twilight zone because as we address the issue of police reform, we also are addressing the issue of senseless gun violence that we are experiencing here in the city of Philadelphia. I continue to echo the support of my colleague, Councilman Jamie Gardier, as she says that we are in a state of an emergency and this issue should be addressed as such. I thank my colleague, Councilman Curtis Jones, for establishing a committee to look at specifically the last 100 shootings that have taken place here in the city of Philadelphia. We have a lot of work to do. We all have to roll up our sleeves and find out how we're going to reduce or eliminate this issue of gun violence that we're seeing in the city of Philadelphia. It does not matter your philosophical approach. Some may want to be heavy on prevention. That's great. Some may want to be heavy on law enforcement. That's great. Some may want to be heavy on getting on the streets as it relates to boots on the ground. That's great. Some may want to be heavy on policy and legislation. That's great. But we need all hands on deck. We have to address this issue comprehensively if we're going to have a safer city, if we're going to make sure our children are safe, if we're going to make sure our women are safe, and if we're going to make sure that we're saving the life of these countless African-American young men that we're seeing dying day after day in the streets of Philadelphia. And I believe we're experiencing a level of black-on-black genocide because it's totally to the point where we may lose a whole new generation of young people. And so I just want to echo the urgency around this issue. I thank all my colleagues again for their support on passing the Let Philly Breathe No Chokehold bill, as well as working with me as we address this issue of senseless gun violence here in the city of Philadelphia. Thank you very much, Council President.
Thank you, Councilman.